Hi, it's Carl Lishing. We have completed the review of your Medicare Advantage plan and feel that things are in good order. It's competitive with the other carriers that are available in the area. And if it's working for you, we'd suggest that you stay with what you have. There's not really a whole lot worth changing over. Now, if we've missed something and you would like to provide comment on that, please respond to us via email and let us know if there's something that is on your mind that you'd like to discuss. Now, across the industry, the copays, the max out-of-pockets are going up on all these plans. There's additional exposure on Medicare prescription drug cost sharing. So there's some new products that I'd like to share with you that I think can help balance that out and complement your current plan for a small premium. Now, some people already have products like this. Most don't, but let's kind of go over it. This product here is called critical illness. And what critical illness does for you is, God forbid, one of the major things happens. It pays you a lump sum cash benefit starting at $5,000. And then you can go up from there, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40. Of course, higher face amounts of critical illness will have larger premiums. But 5,000, it can be done for a lot of people on a guaranteed issue basis with no medical questions. So if they had a cancer policy, a cancer diagnosis, it pays out 5,000. Cancer in situ, which is not life-threatening, or benign brain tumors, will pay 25% of that amount. And skin cancer that is not a melanoma pays 500. And then there's a heart attack and stroke benefit that pays out 100% of the face amount. If it's not a heart attack or a stroke, but a heart illness like angioplasty, bypass surgery, stent, something like that, it'll pay 25% of the chosen face amount. If there's a critical condition such as Alzheimer's, ALS, coma, end-stage kidney failure, or major organ transplant, that'll pay 100% of the selected benefit amount. And if somebody can't do two of the six activities or daily living, like bathing, dressing, transfer, mobility, eating, using the toilet, medication management, cognitive function deterioration, then you can collect 50% of the face amount. Now, what I found is a lot of people don't have any custodial care products. Medicare pays for skilled care. So does Medicare Advantage plans to get us better. Um, but it doesn't pay for custodial care. That's when we're not getting better, but we need help with activities of daily living. And according to the Department of Health and Human Services, 60% of the population over the age of 65 is going to need that. Um, and 100% of the population we're going to pass on. None of us get out of this place alive. So we do have life insurance products to help, and I'm going to touch on those here in a second. But this little critical illness policy is a nice little lump sum benefit for the critical illnesses. And the neat thing about it is it has a prescription drug rider that you can put on here, that if you're taking prescription medications, for every time you refill a generic drug, it'll reimburse you $15, and a brand name drug reimburses $50, up to $600 a year. Now, when you look at the premium here, this one I designed for a 67-year-old male to have a $5,000 critical illness benefit. It's $48.37 a month. So let's do some math on that. 48.37 times 12. Annual premium payment is $580. It's got the prescription reimbursement benefit that can reimburse up to $600, depending on how many medications that they're taking. So a good amount of the premium can be offset through the prescription reimbursement, and then you got $5,000 of critical illness insurance. So pretty good deal. This little product next door is called Hospital Indemnity. Now, this can be customized based on the Medicare Advantage plan that each person is enrolled in, where we can go through the Medicare Advantage plan to see where there's bigger copays. Like if the hospital, you can set this thing up to reimburse you $300 a day for 6 days in the hospital. It has a cancer option that would pay you $5,000 because cancer treatments are paid at 80%, which means the member has 20%, and they're likely going to hit their max out of pocket on something like that. Outpatient surgery, these copays generally range between $300 to $500 depending on the plan. This thing can be set at $500 twice a year to reimburse for that. Skilled nursing facilities on most plans are $0 for the first 20 days. Days 21 to 100 on Medicare Advantage plans, they tend to go to around 218. So there's a rider that you can add on there to balance that out for those days 21 to 100. Set it at $200 a day, for instance. Drugs administered in the doctor's office, these things can get kind of pricey, like injections, infusions, Prolia, for instance. Um, and then the member pays 20% on Advantage plans. This reimburses $300 6 times a year, up to 20 times lifetime. You can put riders on there to offset major diagnostic copays for like MRIs or CAT scans, ambulance, emergency room. So it has a lot of flexibility to customize it. Now, with what I would call the core pieces, the hospital, 300 for 6 days, the cancer, outpatient surgery, the drugs for the doctor's office, that's when things tend to get a little higher. That plan there is $57.83 for that 67-year-old male. So it's a nice little balancing act um, to offset some of these increased copays and out-of-pocket exposure on Medicare Advantage plans. Um, so one last thing here. I put together some life insurance quotes just for some examples. Sometimes people don't realize that we do this, but it's an inevitability. We're all going to pass on. It's not fun to think about. But when we go, there's going to be medical final expenses that need to be paid. And we're either going to leave the money behind to help our family cover those final expenses, or we're going to leave the money behind for them to pay those final expenses. Sometimes people say, "Oh, I got enough money to pay for my own final expenses." Sometimes that can get derailed, especially in the event of a long-term care claim. Um, if you don't have long-term care insurance, assisted living facilities can be 7 to 10,000 a month, no problem. Uh, Skilled nursing facilities can be 12 to 15,000 a month or higher. In-home care is $20 to $25 an hour to have somebody come into the existing home to provide care services there. And if that's round the clock, 24 hours a day, that's over $200,000 a year. So sometimes people think they have enough money to pay for their final expenses, but if they end up needing having long-term care needs, which is 60% of the population, according to Health and Human Services, or 70%, 70%, um, the that money can go away. So to have a small final expense policy, it's not a bad idea. Mutual of Omaha tends to be very good on their pricing, a little tight on underwriting, but that's how they keep their pricing down. This is a 67-year-old female on a $10,000 policy, 4587. Ethos, this is easy to apply for a company. They use technology to underwrite. It's pretty much done by the time you're done with the application. It's easy breezy, a little easier on the underwriting compared to Mutual of Omaha. They're a little bit higher at 5830. And then Ethos also has guaranteed products. So for people that have impaired health and they can't qualify for traditional life insurance, guaranteed policies, this is also a 10,000 or a little bit higher. On a guaranteed policy, what happens is in the first 2 years, if there's a death claim, they return the premium paid in plus 10%, which is not a bad deal to get a 10% return. Once the policy's been in force for 2 years, then the full face amount of the policy pays out when there's a death claim. So these kind of products can help with final expenses, offsetting health insurance expenses. Now, it's been my experience that a lot of people don't have any degree of custodial care coverage, like for long-term care, and sometimes they think they can't afford it, so they don't do anything about it. But there are some basic entry-level plans that are very affordable for short-term care, short-term home health care. Now, this little product right here, it's a handy plan for people that have family members around them that can help provide care if needed. But the caregivers need a break. There's something called caregiver burnout. Um, when the when somebody becomes a primary caregiver, if it's around the clock care, their life is on hold. It's turned upside down because they're becoming a caregiver. It's stressful, and their quality of life and life expectancy is actually diminished. What this product does is it's a home health care plan that provides $150 a day if somebody needs help with the 2 of the 6 activities of daily living. And it pays out for up to 360 days. Now, this is enough of a benefit to hire somebody from the outside to come in for 6 to 8 hours a day to provide some relief for the caregiver. And then the caregiver can be there in the evening to take care of things. And then through the evening, the night hours when we're sleeping, it passes some of that time. So it's a good little entry-level plan. And it's priced affordable for most people, $72.51. And this is for, again, for a 68-year-old person. So it's affordable for most. And like that critical illness plan, it has a prescription benefit for each generic drug. Each time you fill it, you can get $10 back. Brand name drugs up to $25 back. And this one goes up to $900 a year. So the prescription reimbursement can offset a decent amount of the premium. And then somebody has some basic coverage for home health care needs. Now, if somebody wants more robust coverage for custodial care, we have it. And then it just goes up in price depending on what your objectives are. One last thing to wrap up, I would encourage everybody to kind of plan ahead for the aging process. There are legal documents that you should have to help support your aging plan, such as healthcare and financial power of attorney, your living will, advanced directives, and fourth thing is last will and testament. Everybody should have these up to date to help support your aging plan. Without those, it makes things more complicated and stressful for the family when there's a health event and the person needs assistance. Now, those four documents will help support your aging plan, but it's not the plan itself. So I think we should start with some self-reflection, thinking a little bit about if we're one of the 70% of the population that needs custodial care services, where do we want to receive it? Who's going to provide the care? How are we going to pay for it? And then what resources do we have that we can use to pay for care if we need it? And what resources do we want to protect? So if you want to protect resources, you need to plan in advance. There's legal work that can be done with trusts to put those assets into trust so they cannot become recoverable through probate, even if you spend through cash resources and Medicaid starts to pay. There are insurance products that you can purchase to help leverage your buying power to help pay for long-term care. It starts with those short-term home health care plans here, but then it goes up from there depending on what you want to do. I can help with that if you want to discuss getting your ducks in a row for the aging plan process. And I have an attorney that I work with that is good at helping people with the legal work. So this is more advanced planning. We don't do the custodial care planning during enrollment season. But if you're interested in picking up on this, just let us know, reply by email, and we'll schedule follow-up in the fall. If you want, after enrollment season in the first quarter or second quarter of next year. If you want to look at any of these additional products to complement your existing coverage, like the critical illness, the Advantage Guard, just reply to the email or use the scheduling link in the email to book a time to go over these items. Thank you for your time and letting us continue to help you. And if you need anything, just let us know. Thanks.